In 2025, I uploaded a video that showed my solution to these strange tally wall codes in Ruin. But now in today's video, I'm going to propose a different solution to these tally marks. I myself believe this is the right solution. I'm Lime, and this is the simplest solution to Ruin's tally wall codes. These wall codes, also known as the 245 tallies, were first introduced in Security Breach DLC Ruin, and the numbers themselves, 2, 4, and 5, already appeared as prominent colored balloons in the game Security Breach before the DLC. Since then, no one has really come forward to a direct and satisfying conclusion about these tallies nor the numbers from the party room. But before I present my solution, let's jump into the most common theory and its methodology to decode these tallies. This theory suggests that the numbers of 2, 4, and 5 represent certain letters in the alphabet, and that the arrangement of these tallies would form a message, especially since there are multiple spaces between those tallies, which in turn would make more sense for the typical sentence structure. It is also not the first time since a wall code in Security Breach has had a full crypted message hidden by non-letter symbols. In Security Breach, before the release of its DLC, we received a strange tally wall code in the TV room that itself looks a lot like the TV room from Sister Location. Once decoded, the wall code revealed a message that basically told the full story of the gameplay and how our main character, Gregory, has a goal to crush the Vile Band. The Vile Band being the vile animatronics that Gregory throughout the game crushes and defeats until they're left shattered. Now, by putting number 2 as B, since it's the second letter in the alphabet, the number of 4 would therefore land on the letter D and 5 on E. However, by using this methodology, it would be hard to decode a certain message since we only have 3 letters. It is possible to shift the order and put number 2 on, let's say, G, and therefore put number 4 2 letters forward on I and 5 on J. But still, there will always be 3 letters that most certainly won't deliver a hidden written message, or at least it would turn out extremely unlikely. Not only that, but the arrangement of these tallies are quite random. Well, sort of. You see, once looking at this wall code, it appears that a certain part of a 5x5 square of the tallies has been copied, flipped, and pasted onto one another to make this certain shape. With this in mind, it seems that the wall code isn't meant to deliver a hidden written message by itself, and that it must contain a key from a previous FNAF game and/or receive later hints in order to be solved. One interesting detail that can be worth bringing up while speaking of these 3 numbers, 2, 4, and 5, is the mailbox from Help Wanted 2's update teasing Secret of the Mimic, an update that belonged to a game released immediately after Ruin. On the mailbox, the numbers of 4, 6, 2, and 5 are displayed. First off, the tallies in Ruin only appeared in the numbers of 2, 4, and 5, and there is no 6 present. Although you usually don't tally up to 6, one group of tallies always lands on 5. That has always been the case here. But these numbers from the mailbox can later be found as a code to activate the machine carrying MXs, the entity that was first introduced in Ruin, same game as this wall code appeared in. While there may or may not be a connection between these 2 set of numbers, there is another key to these 3 numbers that compared to the mailbox numbers comes from a game released before Ruin. But what is the key to solving these tallies? Well, as I previously mentioned at the beginning, the numbers of 2, 4, and 5 already made an appearance before the release of Ruin. The last time we saw these numbers was in one of the rooms with whiteboards. On one of these whiteboards sits both balloons depicting the Glamrock animatronics as well as numbered balloons with the numbers of 2, 4, and 5 being highlighted in colors. The colors of these numbered balloons that appear in the next game as tallies can be the key we all needed to paint and solve this wall code. Let's paint the tallies in the color their number balloons appears in. Now, what about these spaces between the tallies? Well, remember that there is a circled and colored balloon we haven't used for this wall code. Now, let's fill in the blank spaces that are left with the blue color of the rounded balloon. If we take the wall code that's been painted in these 4 colors, let's look at it side by side with the MX's machine and its colors, red and yellow, that gets displayed after inserting these numbers of 4, 6, 2, and 5. Now, notice how the colors of red and yellow in both situations belong together and are ordered with each other. The exact order of the red and yellow colors in both figures is not the same, but they appear to be belonging together in both cases. But then, what about the blue background and the purple cells in the wall code? They are not present on the MX's machine. And yes, they aren't present unless you look at the particles coming from MX's once they emerge from the machine. Now you see purple and blue particles that originally don't belong to the machine colors, just like how the purple and blue cells are off from the red and yellow cells in the wall code in Ruin. That's all I did. take the colors of the 2, 4, 5 balloons and paint them onto the tallies. Then take the circle balloon's color of blue and fill in the rest of the blank spaces. Lastly, compare the painted wall code with the machine colors from MX's machine in Help Wanted, a machine that is only activated once using a similar set of numbers, with an extra being number 6. I believe that this is the right and simplest solution to the tallies in Ruin. Now, even if this evidence from Help Wanted doesn't seem enough, the same MX's machine also appears in the game Ruin itself. Once again, the colors of the machine are displayed in red and yellow. Interestingly, if you look at the machine colors with the Vanny mask on in the AR world, everything turns purple. And if you look at the tallies in the wall code with the same Vanny mask, they also turn purple. In the AR world, they are purple, but in the real world, they are red and yellow. But now, even if this is the solution, what does this really suggest? Well, just like the previous written wall code from the TV room in Security Breach, I believe that this colored wall code in Ruin can be tied to the main plot of Ruin and the entity MX's. The location as to where this tally wall code can be found in is at the Bonnie Bowl area. However, there is one storage room that also contains the specific set of tallies, with it being the original 5x5 square of the 245 tallies drawn on the wall. Most importantly, there are also a bunch of plushies depicting Circus Baby left, with some of them carrying one eye of green or blue. One of these plushies sits on a chair that is facing the corner where these tallies appear on. Now that we know that these tallies are tied to MX's through his machine colors, some of his tallies have been placed in this storage room, almost as if the plushies of Circus Baby took a part of MX's and hid it in the storage room on purpose. But apart from that, the Vanny mask that enables the player to see through the AR world can't be put on once stepping into the storage room, and therefore the tallies are only shown in the real world. Compared to the tallies in Bonnibel that were only shown in the AR world, the circumstances on how to see these tallies in the storage room are the complete opposite. Since both the tallies in Bonnibel and MX's only appear in the AR world and already being connected through both numbers and colors, the Circus Baby plushies placed a part of him in a world he can't access. Speaking of the Circus Baby plushies, what is known about them is that they, through the color of their eye color, can be tied to the animatronic of Tiger Rock that is meant to be representing the Mimic, the entity that turns out to be tricking and luring the main character Cassie deeper into the ruined Pizzaplex. Since MX's deliberately tries to stop Cassie from setting the Mimic free, this environmental storytelling explains why MX's is unable to fully stop her. The plushies, aka the Mimic, has taken a part of MX's system and placed it in the real world, a world the security system can't access, hence why it's unable to stop Cassie, who in turn sets the Mimic free. Interestingly, if you look at the two 5x5 squares from the storage room and place the wall code from Bonnibel in the middle between, you can see how the colors, or numbers that borders one another, are the same and perfectly match each other. While this lead might seem a bit shaky to some, there is another interesting detail that further ties to the idea that the Mimic, represented as the plushies of Circus Baby, took parts of the wall code tallies in Bonnibel. Once playing the Bonnibel level in Help Wanted 2, the same plushies of Circus Baby appear, seemingly connecting the Mimic even more to the wall code in Bonnibel, and that it took parts of it that initially belonged to MX's to later be put in a separate storage room. Just like the wall code in Security Breach that explained the plot with Gregory destroying the glam rocks, this wall code tells us more about Ruin's plot and how MX's is unable to stop Cassie since parts of the security systems are gone and placed in the real world. Now, if this turns out to be the most rightful answer, the hidden message itself doesn't really reveal anything new apart from what we already know. But that's the thing, those wall codes in Security Breach always tend to do so. In the TV room, the reveal was simply about Gregory destroying the glam rocks, something we have already managed to figure out beforehand. The only difference between these two puzzles is that this code in the TV room was much easier to decode, with a methodology that was way more direct than painting tallies. So once the solution is there, despite how unsatisfying it is, the solution is much easier to accept. Now, since it was 3 years since Ruin was released, for some it can become much harder to satisfy themselves with one simple answer, compared to if you would have ended up solving it the same day as the code was released. Frankly, I'm confident that if the community had managed to solve the 245 tallies in Ruin way earlier, more people would have agreed and moved on. I do have one more idea on these tallies that I'm not as confident about as this video's main theory, but figure out it would be nice bringing it up. Above the colored number balloons are balloons depicting the Glamrock animatronics of Freddy, Monty, Chica, and Roxy. Interestingly, if you put the Glamrock's eye colors side by side with the color of the numbered balloons as well as the circle balloon, you'd notice how they perfectly line up with each other. Freddy has blue eyes, just like the round balloon, Monty with red eyes like number 4, Chica pink eyes like number 2, and Roxy's yellow eyes that matches the number 5. But besides these animatronics being represented right above the numbered balloons, why does the eye colors feel the most prominent of a color connection? These colors of red, blue, purple, and yellow are used quite often across the entire franchise, so why can't red be tied to, let's say, Foxy's color instead? Well, some parts of the ruined map, once viewing the Pizzaplex in the AR world, certain eyeballs appear through the wall. Now, while having eyeballs peeking out through walls, as well as a wall code whose numbers can be tied to the Glamrock's eyes, it all seems to be somewhat connected. But what does this eye color connection really suggest? Well, just like how the plushies of Circus Baby got connected to Tiger Rock through their eye colors, maybe the Glamrocks are connected to MX's system. After all, the Glamrocks, just like MX's, tries to stop Cassie from releasing the Mimic, and once having the Venom mask on for too long, MX's alerts the other animatronics, including the Glamrocks, who in turn ends up fully stopping the main character. Sharing one system, sharing one goal. Finally, what are the flaws with this theory? I mentioned how I painted the tallies using the color of their numbered balloons, but there is still one small problem with this methodology. In the last scenes of playing the main game Security Breach, the player can stumble upon written tallies on the wall. Once again, 2, 4, and 5 appears, but this time there's a number 3 on the wall that doesn't appear anywhere else. I already mentioned how I believe that the blank spaces are meant to have a 6 represented, but fail to do so since you can't tally up to number 6. But here, there is this number of 3 that can also fill in these spaces. It almost feels like I'm cherry picking on what numbers that can fit these blank spaces the most, but we still don't know much about number 3. It has no color balloon connected to it, and it did not appear in the mailbox in Help Wanted 2. Even in the later teasers for Secret of the Mimic, the cameras displaying MCM are all labeled in the same numbers, with number 6 appearing again. To me, number 6 feels more prominent than 3, and this whole methodology feels more right since it's very simple. After all, these tallies can't be made too cryptic to decode if it's all meant to be solved. If it really is much more complicated, then we need more hints, which at this point feels we should have received by now. But what do you all think of my theory? Do you believe this simple solution and that it all represents a Mexa system being destroyed by the Mimic program, or is it something else that we still haven't figured out? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, don't forget to share this video, like it, and if even better, subscribe. That's it for me. Thanks for listening.